Happy 4th of July, everybody. Oh my god. Happy 4th of July. My god. Man, the last time I made a video on the 4th of July was the Purge Anarchy. Well, anyways, guess what? I just got back and I saw Spider-Man 4 from home. I gotta say, and a lot of you are gonna hate me for this, but I like it slightly better than Endgame. Yeah, go ahead and hate me for that. And yes, Endgame has a lot of the cooler things, like in the very ending, but Endgame really only had 2 action scenes, and I don't need action in this movie, but this movie captured more on the heart of the characters, and yes, Endgame had so much more, and Spider-Man wasn't in it that much. I've been a Spider-Man fan my whole life, and I was born 2004. The very first movie I ever saw was Sam Raimi's 2002 Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire, and I still love that movie to death, even though a lot of people hate Tobey Maguire now. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is going to be a quick review. I think I'll make a spoiler video tomorrow because I want to spoil everything. But I want to keep this short because we're about to go see the fireworks. So I'm going to make this video as quick as possible. First off, Tobey Maguire in this film nailed it. He's so far the best Spider-Man. He's better than Tobey Maguire by a long shot. Yeah, Tobey Maguire cried way too much. And also Zendaya or something, I don't know. Zedna or something, is that how you pronounce her name? I have no idea, but she, in the first Spider-Man Homecoming, I didn't like her that much at all. I was like, who is this chick? In the very ending, she's like, oh, my name's MJ. I'm like, are you kidding me? And in this movie, I quite liked her a lot. My dad hated this character. My dad read the Spider-Man comics, and he said he loved MJ. In this movie, he said she was nothing like the comics. She was too different, too weird. And I was like, she's a lot like a girl that I used to crush on in school. Yes, I had a ton of girls I liked to crush on, and she reminded me, and she looked a lot like a character I used to crush on at school. And yes, sometimes I get very weird and icky, and I make a lot of really weird puberty jokes. Why do I do that? What the fuck is wrong with me? But this time I'm not going to do that because I realize, I'm going to turn 15 in on July 15th, so I probably shouldn't make those kinds of jokes. But anyways, my god, this movie is so badass. And their Mysterio, oh my god, Jake Gyllenhaal, I can just tell this guy had a ton of fun with this movie, and there's something that happens with his character towards the middle of the movie where he does really badass things with his powers. And there's a scene with Spider-Man in I'll spoil it in my spoiler review that he does something to Spider-Man towards the middle of the movie where they start to work. They're working with each other, and then he does something really badass with his powers. And it was so badass. I really hope Mysterio gets this. This makes me wish that Doctor Strange is movie. Can you imagine what that'd be like? Doctor Strange, like with Mysterio's powers. It's Doctor Strange versus Mysterio. Make that happen in Doctor Strange 2. Oh my god. This movie is so badass, and I cannot wait for Phase 4 to see what they're gonna do. And, oh my gosh, man. So anyways, also, Samuel Jackson came back. I really loved him in Captain Marvel. In Captain Marvel, they kind of disrespected his character a little bit. They made him too funny. And yes, now that I look back on Captain Marvel, when I first reviewed it, I gave it a 7. Now that I look back on it, I like the movie even less. I think my newest grade is now a 3 for the movie. Now, because I've rewatched the movie a ton of times, and now that I rewatch it, I'm like, I don't like this as much as I did. When I first watched Captain Marvel, I gave it a 7. Anyway, Samuel Jackson was the one saving grace in that part. In this movie, he's pretty good. But the one thing with Nick Fury they did that I did not like is sometimes, his scenes are, while they're badass, they did a few other things with his character that I just didn't like. They made him feel out of place. And also, there was a end credit scene where he was a Super Skrull throughout the movie. I did not see the end credit scene. I had it spoiled to me online. I only stayed for the mid credit scene. There's a mid credit scene and an end credit scene. I'm not going to spoil the mid credit scene because that was the one I did see. I am going to spoil the end credit scene because I did not see it because I had it spoiled to me. I looked it up online, and apparently he was supposed to be a Super Skrull throughout the entire movie. So maybe we could get the Avengers, like Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Mark Ruffalo, all those guys return as Super Skrulls like they did in the comic books. In the comic books, the Skrulls take over and they become the Avengers, and then the new Avengers, the real Avengers, come back and fight them off. I hope that happens. Hopefully it does. Man, happy 4th of July. I can't wait to see fireworks. Happy 4th of July. I love you so much. And I'm not finished. The Elementals, the characters from the comic books, I love them. They are badass. The one thing they do something with them in the very end of the movie that I did not like. I was like, really, you're going with this route? Okay. I mean, it was cool that the way they did do it, it was still cool. Like, I was like, okay, that's creative. However, I wish they still went with the other route. You know what I mean? Like, the thing they did with it, I didn't like. I liked the idea. I was like, okay, that's interesting. It adds more to, Mysterio's character. They do something with the elementals, the big old fire monsters, the water monster, the wind and stuff. They do something with them that I did not like. Well, I still liked it, but, like, it made sense that Mysterio would do something with them, would, like, fight against him in a different way, but I wish that, like, they still continue, because in the comic books, the elementals are the elementals, and in this movie, they're apparently something else. I'm not going to say what they are. I'll tell you in the spoiler video, but in the ending, there's something else. They turn into this other thing that was, like, that never happened in the comics, and, yeah, I hope they bring him back in another movie where they, you know, are the elementals. I'll explain more in the spoiler review. By the way, I'm a secret agent. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. But anyways, oh my god, this movie's so badass. I cannot believe how good this was. The other problem, the best thing about this movie is that it doesn't take place in New York like the other Spider-Man movies. It felt new, felt fresh. I love, like, Peter Parker. He's not Spider-Man in this movie that much. It felt like Spider-Man 2. Like, he's very rarely in his costume. Like, he only puts, like, the blue and red Spider-Man costume on twice. Well, actually, the regular one he wears, he only wears it, like, once, and he usually wears this black costume throughout the movie. Not to be racist, but, like, no, it was like a secret. Why did I make that joke? Somebody's gonna get mad at me on the comics. God, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to make that joke. My god. I'm sorry, I didn't make that joke, but he wears, like, the secret agent suit more than he does the blue and red suit, and then later on, at the very end, he comes back wearing it, and I was like, that was kind of cool. I like how, like, he doesn't really try to stay Spider-Man. This movie, they really, I think this movie's leaps and bounds better than Homecoming. Homecoming had Michael Keaton as Vulture, which was badass, and it had Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. does appear. Oh, they also play a scene from the first Iron Man movie, and that was something I didn't think they'd do. In this movie, there's a lot of callbacks. They call back to Captain America's Civil War, where Tony Stark is showing off that hologram machine, where he shows the young Tony Stark and Captain America Civil War, and then the scene in Iron Man 1. They play back a scene in Iron Man 1, which I had no idea was going to happen. When that happened, I was like, yes! Also, in the mid-credit scene, there's a character who appears who I was so damn excited to see. I'll tell you more. Anyways, I just love how they balanced the Spider-Man on it. Spider-Man is a kid. You know, he's not always going to be Spider-Man. This movie, it shows that he's kind of afraid. You know, like, maybe he doesn't want to be Spider-Man certain times. Maybe he just wants to spend more time with MJ. In this movie, they really handle that. And sometimes he's like, I don't want to be Spider-Man. I want to be this. I want to just be Peter Parker. And sometimes Nick Fury's like, you know, I'm Samuel L. Jackson. You know, you better be Spider-Man or I'm going to kick your ass. You better hold on to your butt, motherfucker. Sorry, that's my terrible Samuel L. Jackson impression, because Samuel L. Jackson is the best actor in all of Hollywood. He's one of my favorite actors. Anyways, I'm going to give this movie probably a 9... Actually, I might give it an 8. Even though I think I might give it an 8 simply because there was two nitpicks of the movie that now that I look back on, I'm like, I don't like those. But other than that, this movie's basically perfect. It was just those two little nitpicks that made me give it an 8. Spider-Man Homecoming was like a 7 for me. Now I'd honestly, if they do a comparison of which one is better, Michael Keaton or Jake Gyllenhaal, I'm going to stick with both of them. They're so far the best Spider-Man villains we've seen on screen. Vulture and Mysterio are leaps and bounds better than any Spider-Man villain I've ever seen on the big screen. And I hope they bring back Michael Keaton. It would just be cool to see like Michael Keaton and Jake Gyllenhaal, Mysterio, and Vulture team up in the Sinister Six. I cannot wait for that. Yeah, the Sinister Six aren't in this movie like a lot of people speculated. Anyways, happy 4th of July!